Welcome to Beast Metal Reviews. This is my favorite time of the year, my favorite episode that I do or what I provide for you guys of the year. It is my top 15 best metal albums of the year for 2025. This year, like last year and the year before, were amazing years for metal. So many bands are experimenting. So many bands are really original with what they're doing. And they're being well produced and they're coming out with really original new work. If you haven't noticed with me, I'm not into mainstream metal all that much. There are some bands, of course, I'll check them out. There's one band in my top 15 list that is quite mainstream. There's arguably a few others that are. But I really like bands that are really original, and they're pushing their music. They're pushing for new sounds. And so if you're into something different, you're looking for something different, what you're going to see with my review of 15 new albums is very likely going to be quite different from what you get with other people. So what you're going to have are my top 15, and then I'm going to give you several EPs that are excellent, and then a few honorable mentions that are quite unique. But what you're going to get from me is pretty unique, pretty new stuff, minus a couple of bands that are pretty straightforward but really, really well done. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 15 is a band that I saw, and I interviewed them in 2025, in February of 2025. They're out of Chicago, and they are Gored Embrace. Gored Embrace put out a great album, In the Presence of a Malevolent Soul. This album is quite good. I have listened to this thing in the car ever since I've had it. I've probably listened to this album more than any others. So what you're getting with Malevolent Soul is brutal death metal, and it has a bit of slam elements with it as well. The vocals are on point, solos are on point, everything about the band is great. The drumming is great. Their production, and particularly the way that the drum comes through, is really, really nice. So if you really like some slam, really heavy guttural stuff that has a groove with it, also a bit politically oriented, which I like, check out Gored Embrace. That's my number 15. And now we're going to move on to my number 14. Number 14, we're coming out of Dallas, Texas. This band used to be called Cerebral Rot. They still have two band members. I think it's the vocalist and the guitarist are still together. They grabbed a new bassist and they grabbed a new drummer. And Corpus, Offal came out with the self-titled album. I think this was like the 21st of March. Yes, 21st of March this album came out. And by the way, Gored Embrace came out on the 17th of January, in case you were wondering. What you're going to get with Corpus, Offal is a little bit of dissonance in what they're doing. This is kind of slow, mid-tempo. They will pick up the pace quite a bit, but there's tempo changes throughout all of their songs. And the vocals are really, really nasty and deep and quite unique as well, as I've gone back through and listened to this several times recently. Very kind of slow a lot of the times, and it has a really good groove. So anyways, my number 14 for 2025 is Corpus, Offal out of Dallas, Texas. Great album, guarantee you will like this. Then we move along to number 13. It's an album that I will buy, but I couldn't get it here because the album was just released on the 28th of November. And I'm talking about Blut aus Nord. Blut aus Nord is out of France. I think it's a two-person project. And the album is called Ethereal Horizons. Sometimes Blut Nord can be quite experimental. They're not quite so experimental on this, although they do have a little bit of clean singing. What you're going to get is black metal, atmospheric black metal. Very kind of, I don't know, I hate to use the word spiritual, but it really is kind of spiritual, kind of chill black metal. But it has enough darkness to it to kind of satisfy those kind of needs. The guitars sound great. It's like I walk my dogs late at night almost every night, and I love putting Blut Nord, especially this new album Ethereal Horizons, on while I'm going through my walk. So in case you want something new, atmospheric, black metalish, kind of on the chill kind of vibe that's a little bit different if you're listening to aggressive stuff most of the time, you really might like Blut Nord and Ethereal Horizons. It is quite a good album. And we're going to move on to number 12. Now, this band is really heavy. This band is really catchy, and the vocalist is a little bit poppy at times. They really aren't dark, but they really are heavy. And this album is really, really, really good for what it is. Some people might say, this doesn't belong in a metal review, but I think it does. It is heavy enough. It'll make you head bang. It'll make you kind of have a stink face sometimes. It's really heavy, but really beautiful at times as well, and the vocals are quite good. I'm talking about the Deftones, and the name of the album is Private Music. Private Music came out on the 22nd of August of 2025. It's a beautiful album cover. I haven't ordered it yet. I need to order that one because I do want to keep this one on vinyl. I only buy albums that I believe are 4.5 or 5 out of 5 star albums on vinyl. Otherwise, I just listen to them on Spotify, but I kind of collect them. This album, I'm really thrilled with. I love Deftones. There are a few of their earlier albums that I don't like as much, but I really love this one. It's nasty. It's fucking heavy. That 8-string guitar, down-tuned, is really nasty in here, and it works really good with the bass. Oh, by the way, another thing about Corpus Offal that I really like is the prominence of the bass. So if you do like Corpus Offal and you check that out, the bass is pretty prominent in their mix, and I really like that. Deftones, excellent album. That is my number 12. It's Deftones' Private Music for 2025. Then for number 11, I just saw this band just over a month ago, and I'm talking about Gates to Hell. Gates to Hell are a death metal band that are kind of brutal death metal and slam oriented. They mix up the pace. They're pretty groovy. They do pinch harmonics and a lot of other little tasty things for your ears. And this album is quite good. It might not be my favorite of theirs. I would say this is a 4.5 out of 5 star album, which is really, really good. Vocals are on point. They have 2 guitarists, bassists, and I think I just posted something from their show. If not, it'll be coming up. And hopefully I don't get I get copyright strikes all the time, even when I've videotaped the show myself. But anyways, Death Comes to All is the album, and it came out on the 21st of March this year of 2025. If you like slam, if you like brutal death metal, I think you really might like Gates to Hell. This is my number 11 album of the year. Excellent. All right, moving right along. We are now to a band that I just discovered recently because their album came out on the 14th of November. This album is on Voidhanger, which is a record label out of Europe or Italy, and this band is actually from Italy. They are called Strigiform, and Strigiform is a dissonant black metal, heavily experimental black metal band. Very tasty, very artistic throughout. It took them 5 years to come out with this album. They really put a lot of thought into it. I'm telling you, when I say artistic, I mean it's artistic. I'm not a big fan of piano, but they put piano in to kind of add this kind of dark ambiance into one of the songs, and it works out really well. They are going to change the tempo on you a lot, so you'll have some fast, really weird stuff, but mostly what you have is kind of a mid-tempo, kind of weird, dissonant arpeggio chords that they're doing, and this stuff is weird. Like, it kind of sounds out of tune on purpose, as a lot of dissonant metal does. So again, that is my number 10. Number 10 is Strigiform, and their album is called Aconite, and they are out of Italy. That's my number 10. Moving on to number 9, we have a band from Melbourne, Australia. And the name of the band is Werewolves. And the name of the album is The Ugliest of All. Werewolves are on a mission. They're trying to do 10 albums in 10 years. Every album I've heard so far is chef's kiss amazing. Like 4.5, maybe 5 out of 5 stars. Excellent, excellent, excellent album. What you get when you get Werewolves is really brutal death metal, but they also have a bit of groove to what they're doing, and they change the tempo a lot. You're getting all kinds of variety. Their riffs really stand out to me. They're quite interesting and very catchy. Now, I just found out about these guys recently because their album came out on the 19th of September. I had heard somebody mention them a couple of months ago, and I forgot to go back and check out Werewolves. But now that I have, excellent. This is, I don't know, this year's, like, my top 7 are like really amazing albums, but this could maybe break into that if I have more time, more of an opportunity to listen to it. But I would highly recommend you check this out. It is brutally fast, brutal with the vocals, brutal with the guitars. Everything is so nasty. Blast beats and then slowing things down. Werewolves give you all kinds of stuff, but it is heavy. It's an intense listen. But to me, it's memorable riffs, very catchy, very clever riff writing with them. So anyways, Werewolves is my number 9 best album of 2025, and the name of the album is The Ugliest of All. Then we get to my number 8. Number 8 is a band that I know some people are going to say, "What? I didn't like that album." But I don't know. To me, this album has more black metal influence into it as they mix it with death metal. Nurgle's vocals are pretty darn amazing, and yes, I am talking about Behemoth, the Shit of God. Now, is the title The Shit of God very artistic? Not really. I kind of wish they didn't do that. But for me, this album is 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 5 stars. It is fucking outstanding to me. My favorite song is The Shadow Elite. That's the first track off of the album. But as we go through this entire album, their use of 2 different guitars in here, it really complements and adds. The 2 guitars are normally doing something different. And the influence of black metal in this Behemoth album takes you back to like Evangelion, or maybe even before that, like 2010, 2011. But I love this album. I am shocked that I'm not seeing this album come up on more people's lists. This is, to me, I like it better than The Satanist, and I like it better than Evangelion, and I love both of those albums. But this one, to me, is even better. I didn't care for the last one quite so much. It had, I don't know, I just didn't find it very aggressive, and I didn't find it to have enough black metal influence, but this one does. And it's really, really well done, really clever, really well-made album, in my opinion. When they come through, I want to see them again, just so that I can listen to this album and see them perform this album live. So my number 8 is Behemoth, the Shit of God. Moving on to number 7, we have a band out of Portland, Oregon. This is a death doom band that is a bit dissonant and at times. I'm talking about Decrepisy. Decrepisy came out with this album on the 28th of March, and it is called Deific Mourning. What you get with Decrepisy is very clever. Yes, it's slow death doom. It's kind of like you took Godflesh Street Cleaner, and then you mix them with early Hooded Menace, and then maybe even slowed it down a little bit more than Hooded Menace. And that's what you're going to get. The vocals are great to me. It's slow. The dissonant notes that they let kind of cover the atmosphere in every song is really, really good. So I highly, highly recommend number 7. I could see why this would be on some people's number 1 list. But it's really good. These guys are out of Portland once again. It is Decrepisy, and the album is Deific Mourning, and this is my number 7 album of 2025. Moving right along. I don't have this one on hand yet, but I'm talking about Paradise Lost. This is my number 6 album of the year. And the album is called Ascension. It came out on the 19th of September. So how is this Paradise Lost album different from a lot of the other ones? This Paradise Lost album is really heavy in that gothic sound. Gregory McIntosh, his guitar kind of soloing throughout is really dark. It's classic what he does, like especially like from the Gothic album that came out, I think it was like 1989 or 1990. I think it was 1990. So you're getting a lot of that kind of overlay over the rhythm guitar that's going through. But you're going to get a lot of tempo changes, and the vocals are very, very dynamic. Sometimes he's kind of sounding like James Hetfield from the good Metallica days. And they're pretty aggressive, and then sometimes he's a little bit heavier than that, and then sometimes he's like kind of in death doom, death metal area. So he's very dynamic. He has some clean singing in here that sounds really good. Every song is very clever and works well together. If you want an album that you want to chill to and you want to kind of sing along or hum along to, Paradise Lost is that for me. And I love the new Paradise Lost album, Ascension. And that album, coincidentally, has made it to my number 6, Paradise Lost, out of England. All right, we're going to move on to my number 5. Number 5 is Blindfolded and Led to the Woods. And the name of the album, it's a really long one, so I have to read this. The name of the album is The Hardest Thing About God Is That No One Believes Me. So these guys are out of Christchurch, New Zealand. The album came out on the 10th of October. Blindfolded and Led to the Woods is a band that I love, and I just missed them when I was moving here to Oregon. I live in Oregon on the Washington border. When I moved here, I think Blindfolded and Led to the Woods played Seattle. I just missed them. I had graduate papers to do, and I just couldn't leave and go catch that show, and I really wish I had caught them. Definitely will catch them the next time they come through. But Blindfolded and Led to the Woods is an outstanding band that is going to give you all kinds of tempo changes, dissonant stuff, excellent vocals, kind of, sometimes it's like more thrash-oriented vocals, sometimes really brutal kind of death metal vocals. But the amount of variety, the amount of artistry that's shown throughout with the Blindfolded and Led to the Woods album is excellent all the way throughout. I could see how somebody would rate this album as their number 1. But if you like something brutal, you like something weird, something odd, really, really aggressive, and that has a bit of a groove and a lot of catchy kind of riffing and clever riffing, then you might like Blindfolded and Led to the Woods album, which was called The Hardest Thing About God Is That No One Believes Me. So anyways, that is my number 5 out of 2025, Blindfolded and Led to the Woods. Now we come up to my number 4. This is an excellent band out of Ohio. I've seen them a couple of times. I love their first album, and especially the song Dead as Shit. But they now, to me, have come out with an album that's just as good as their first. I didn't care for the second all that much, but this latest one, Hideous Aftermath by Sanguisugabogg, is an outstanding, excellent, maybe slightly more mature, better produced, more thought out, a little bit more clever, and a little bit more sophisticated album than what they've put out before. By the way, you also have Travis Ryan from Cattle Decapitation making an appearance on here, the vocalist from Knoll and the vocalist from Peeling Flesh on this album, and they all three are very different vocalists, and I like the addition to complement the vocalist from Sanguisugabogg. Anyways, what you get from this album is bangers 1 all the way through number 10. All of these songs are amazing. Probably my favorite is Felony Abuse of a Corpse. Super brutal song, groovy songs, but super heavy. I love the pinging drums. The percussionist is absolutely amazing. Everybody else is on point. This is a really fun band. If you want to have fun and have something that's chuggy, groovy, and slammy at a mid to slow tempo, Sanguisugabogg might be for you. This made my number 4 album of 2025. We move right along to this album I thought could have been my number 1. This is Imperial Triumphant, but the other two, I don't know, I could swap any of the top 3. This album is excellent. Chef's Kiss. They also have 2 guest appearances. Dave Lombardo, formerly of Slayer, plays on this album and does a great job, and also Thomas Hack, not sure how to pronounce that, out of Meshuggah, is on here, and I think he's on 2 songs, and I think Dave Lombardo's on 2 as well, and one of the songs they play together, which is pretty cool. But what do you get from Imperial Triumphant? To me, this album and their production has less noise than their previous one did. It has jazz elements, it's dissonant, it's offbeat, off-tempo, weird, unusual stuff, but very clever, very, very sophisticated. So if you're looking for something very different, very catchy, very memorable, then you might like Imperial Triumphant. This album, to me, is a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so hard not to mark this one as number 1, but I had to make a decision, and I made my decision. But I love this album. I will always love this album. First time I heard it, I was like, man, that's a fucking banger. I love that album. Anyways, Imperial Triumphant with Gold Star, that's the name of this album, is my number 3 for 2025. Check out Imperial Triumphant. Number 2 is out of Sweden, and I can't believe that this is not my number 1, so my number 1 must be super fucking amazing, because this album is fucking amazing. I'm talking about Vildhjarta. Vildhjarta came out with the album called Where the Forest Sings Under the Eternal Spruce Trees. Everything on this album is done in Swedish, so even the title's done in Swedish, but this is probably the most cram-packed, weird, dissonant, experimental album to me in existence. This is like the next step for Gorguts when they came out with Obscura in 1998. This Vildhjarta album is right up there with that to me. Like, this is not an easy listen. You're not going to be whistling the riffs from this album. The vocals to me are a little bit better. They're more brutal. They're a little less of the metalcore kind of yelling that I really don't care for. These vocals are flipping amazing to me. Well, not flipping amazing, but they're really, really good. They're more brutal than they have been before. The rest of the band, by the way, they have also released on, at least on Spotify, I don't know if they're going to do it on physical copy, but they've also released an instrumental version, and I will buy that when it comes out. It sounds really good. This is a band for musicians to me. Really weird stuff. If you like weird, really heavy, really brutal, 8-string guitar, down-tuned, nasty, gurgly, stink-face music, then you might like Vildhjarta. Vildhjarta has made my number 2. For the whole year, I thought this was going to be my number 1. Either this or Imperial Triumphant. And then an album came out on the 14th of November that I couldn't deny. But anyways, this is Vildhjarta. This is my number 2 of 2025. Check it out. Super heavy, super nasty, super creative, super artistic, and super sophisticated. Okay, my final one. I have ordered the album, but it won't be mailed out until December 19th, as long as they all have been pressed and they're manufactured and ready to go out. But they produced an album about a year ago, and I loved that album, and this one I might like a tad bit even more. And I am talking about Veilburner. And Veilburner came out with their album on the 14th of November, and it is called Longing for Triumph, Reeking of Tragedy. Right off the bat, I think it's the first song on the list, is nasty, and it has the influence of old Morbid Angel and Triumphant. It is amazing. I love their kind of old Morbid Angel riffs in here, which is also mixed with black metal. So you get kind of like nasty, experimental Morbid Angel mixed with black metal. The vocalist is the star of this band. It's amazing. I mean, the way the songs and the riffs are made, there's so much variety. You're taken all over the place with what they're doing. And I love it. I never will get bored of this album. I could listen to it all of the time. It's really, really dark, really, really heavy, really fucking possessed. When speaking of possessed, I have to think about the vocalist. To me, this is the best vocalist, my favorite vocalist, in all of really heavy, extreme metal. This guy sometimes does death metal vocals. Then he does black metal vocals. And then he is possessed like the demon Beelzebub or whomever was inside Megan or Reagan from the Exorcist movie. This stuff is so flipping dark and so manic and kind of crazy and super, super intense, but it's really clever. To me, the riffs are more memorable. It's a little bit of an easier listen than the Vildhjarta. Maybe not as packed in with as much kind of little notes and noise and stuff that you get like in Vildhjarta. But this is an amazing album. It's the album I've gone to for almost an entire month. I want to listen to it every day. I just love this album. Veilburner is a 2-person group, and I don't think they go on tour at all. If they ever wanted to, I volunteer to play bass, guitar, and help them with vocals if they would be interested. It is flipping amazing. Veilburner is my number 1 of 2025. The album is called Longing for Triumph, Reeking of Tragedy. And they bookend the 2 halves of that title, first track and then the last track. Excellent, amazing album. Please listen to it. Tell me what you think of it. I found it to be an amazingly authentic, amazingly original album, and that's what I'm looking for when I listen to metal. I'm kind of tired of redone heavy metal, redone doom, redone hardcore, punk, stuff like that, new metal. I want stuff to be experimental. I want it to be challenging. I want it to be really pushing the limits and trying to create something different and new. Veilburner have done it. Imperial Triumphant have done it. Blindfolded and Led to the Wolves have done it. Vildhjarta have definitely done it. Like, there's so many bands that I love. I look for the dissonant. I look for the weird. I look for the experimental, and that's what you get for mine. One more thing before you go. My album came out this year on October 3rd. Human, the Hoofed Beast. I came out with the album The Addiction. To me, it's got some weird dissonant stuff in there. I've done everything on the album, but I got my friend after I had recorded the entire album and I used drum tracks on it. I hired my friend who has a jazz drumming influence, Steve Livengood, and he played the drums for me. and I think he did a great job. You're going to hear some great fills in that album. But if you haven't, please go check out my album. I have it on Bandcamp, I have it on Spotify, Apple Music, all the platforms. And tell me what you think about that. Guys, tell me what you think of your list for your favorite albums of the year. Maybe give me your top 5, your top 10, your top 15. Maybe tell me you think I'm crazy, that you don't like the shit that I listen to. That's fine. I know I have a unique taste. But I really look forward to reading comments down below for that. And please like and subscribe if you haven't. I try to do stuff like this, although I'm super busy with playing guitar and doing my own music, and I'm in a graduate program. I have to write like graduate papers all the time right now. But don't go away, because now I'm going to show you my top EPs of the year and my honorable mentions, which are excellent. Number 1 is going to be A Cephalic Void. This is an EP. This is dissonant black metal. Really, really good album, but it's only like 3 or 4 songs, so I didn't want to put it in the top 15, but it's really good. It probably would have made the top 15 if they had had more, but it's a really good album. That is A Cephalic Void. Excellent album, but an EP. Car Bomb. I forgot to bring, excuse me, the Car Bomb vinyl up here, but it's an EP, and that album is really, really, really good. I highly recommend that if you like weird, unusual, kind of like Vildhjarta, but more kind of metalcore vocals and a little bit of yelling, a little bit of kind of death metal, but really intense, really unusual, experimental. You might like Car Bomb. Another one that you might like that is just an EP is Corpse Pile. Corpse Pile is slam, brutal death metal. Excellent. I really, really like this EP. I would love to hear a full album out of them, and they do have some. You can go back in their discography. Really good stuff. Another one is Ninkharsag. That's another really good EP that came out. That's straight up black metal, but really nasty, aggressive black metal. Really well done, well written, well produced, well recorded album. Then we get to my other honorable mentions that are full albums. Number 1 is out of England. This is Vacuous. Vacuous came out with In His Blood. I think this came out like end of January, or it was like early February. Excellent album. Kind of sounds like modernized old Carcass. So you can hear some Bill Steer vocals in there, Bill Steer riffing throughout. But all the vocals are mostly kind of in the death metal kind of range. But really good album. A lot of tremolo picking. Good stuff, kind of like grind. You might like that. Another one is Death Heaven. Death Heaven came out with an album, gosh, I think that was like in April maybe. But I really like the album if it was an instrumental. What I don't like is the vocals are thin. They sound like some teenage greasy hair kid kind of stuff. And they really aren't black metal vocals. They're too thin and they're too kind of screamo. And I think that kind of takes away from the Death Heaven album. But the album is quite good still. In spite of the vocals, I can stand them. They're not like grating or anything like that. They're just not as dark or nasty as they could be. But it's very experimental, beautiful, well thought out album, great riffs, great kind of mood swings in it as well. Death Heavens is really good. That's a good album you might like. Tribal Gaze came out with a really good album. I'm about to see them with Cattle Decapitation in Portland on the 15th, so if you're there, say hi to me. Let's see, what else do I have? Chest Crush is another one. I just found out about them. This is a death metal band that is really low-tuned and very distorted with what they do, with a lot of chugging as well, and a little bit dissonant. But I like this album. I just heard it. That might be one that you want to look at as well. So, those are my albums of 2025. Again, please comment. Tell me what you like, what yours were. And please check out my new album from Human the Hoofed Beast. It is called The Addiction, and it's also on Spotify and Bandcamp and Apple Music and all the others. Anyways, that's all for me right now. Thank you for watching Beast Metal Review and tuning in. This is the favorite thing I like to do every year. I hope you can tell that I'm pretty excited about these albums, and I can't wait to listen to them even more throughout the rest of the year and into the new stuff next year. So, I believe that you guys have been given all kinds of new stuff. I'm about new stuff. I'm about experimentation. I'm about high quality. I'm about sophistication in my metal, because I believe that that might be metal that you might like. I am the Emissary!